Hey, Ray, this is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com. You're listening to this fourth video in this whole Learning Python series. And again, the whole idea behind this is that I'm learning Python, and basically by explaining a lot of the concepts that I'm learning and kind of going through a lot of the mistakes that I'm going to go with you, one, it allows you to kind of learn it as well from someone who's kind of going to have a lot of the same questions, make a lot of the same mistakes that you're going to make, but also kind of not take for granted necessarily what you don't know, because I don't know it either. And hopefully, make this a much more fun educational experience. Now, one of the topics we're going to be talking about today is sort of different methods of data collection in Python. Why do I need to collect data? Because sometimes just having one variable or just a bunch of different variables to collect every piece of information I need can get a little daunting. And sometimes there's certain pieces of information that are related, so having them in some sort of bucket that kind of make sure that I know, okay, everything in this, all these variables are all this thing makes life a little bit easier. So list is one of these. There's a list, there's a tuple, there's a set, there's a dictionary, and we'll go over those over different videos. So what I did is I gave myself a bunch of different assignments. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of watch me go through each assignment and try to basically code it right and debug it and whatnot. Which means I will probably occasionally have to kind of cheat and make a look at my reference, make sure that I'm doing it right. And the idea is by doing so, you're going to kind of see what are possible mistakes you'd make as you practice these things. And at the same time, we learn these things together. So first assignment is to make a list. So basically the way you make a list is just like any other variable. You just give it a name. So I'm calling this primary colors. And then I assign it a value. So I'm going to have my assignment operator equals. And to make a list, you're going to use the square brackets, not the parentheses, the square bracket. And then in this case, I'm doing a list of strings, a list of words. So red, yellow, and blue. So they're going to be in quotation marks, and I'm going to separate them with commas. So there's 3 items in my list. Now the way every list item gets a number, or an index number. And the thing is that it always starts with 0. So red's going to be 0, yellow's going to be 1, blue's going to be 3. So what I'm going to do is my assignment is to print the second item on the list. So I'm going to print primary colors 1, because that's going to be the second item on the list, because red's 0, yellow's 1, blue is 2. So if I did this right, it should create this list, red, yellow, and blue, and only print the second word, yellow. So let's try it out. Okay. And that's what it did. Printed out yellow. Perfect. So first assignment is complete. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change the third item and then print the entire list afterwards. So in this case, we're going to say primary colors. The third item would be 2. So primary colors 2 should equal, so we're going to assign it something wrong, so we'll assign it green. And then we're going to print the whole list. So I'm going to list it there, and let's run it and see if it works. Good, so I printed out yellow, but instead of printing out yellow, red, blue, like the original list was, it wrote printed out red, yellow, green, because I had changed the third item on the list. And because again, 2 is going to be the third item because it's 0, 1, 2. Cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the string in the list. We haven't talked about loops yet. There's a couple different loops. There's while loops, there's for loops. We're going to use a for loop for the moment, which just means, and all this really means is that for for x, and meaning for the particular index, but for each item in primary colors, we're going to do something. So basically, whenever you do a loop or something like this, should have to do a colon at the end. Okay? And that's automatically going to indent with good stuff. But again, anything that's indented, it has to be indented at kind of the same line. It's going to be done as part of that for. So basically what I'm saying is that we're going to print each item separately. We're going to print I'm going to print a string, so I'm going to print, well, actually, we'll print primary colors, X, meaning X is the index number. So again, this for loop is going to keep doing it for each item in the list. So it'll do it first for 0, then for 1, then for 2. So for X is going to first start off with X is going to be 0, then X is going to be 1, then X is going to be 2. And it's just going to keep doing it until it runs out of items in the list. So for X in primary colors. So I'm going to print primary colors X, whatever that item is a primary color. Okay, and then basically make this a string. There we go. So now I should print that 3 times, saying that color is a primary color, even though green isn't. So what I can do is we can change it. If we really want to be perfectionist, we can change it back to, I can change it back to blue in a second. So what we'll do is I'll copy this, make it blue again, make the 3rd item blue again. Okay, there we go. So let's save the code and see if it runs as expected. Invalid syntax. I'm making a mistake somewhere. For X in primary colors. Okay, so again, you're here to watch me make some mistakes. So let's see if I did this right. For list for X in this list. That's pretty much the way I have it. Go back and take a look. Or maybe it's a capitalization here. Yep, that was probably it. Run module. And we got so far, trace back to user's types, B20, line 21, print primary color, X primary color. This indices must be integers or slices, not string. I think probably because of the plus assignment, maybe see if I remove this. Does that fix the problem? Nope. I got a little ambitious with that. So we'll just print primary colors X just to kind of illustrate the point. Print primary colors integers, not string. Let's see here. Let's go back to our reference code here. For X in this list, print X. Oh, I see. Okay, so here's what's happening. Since we're using this list, I don't need to restate the list. That's why. So in that case, since I'm already in the loop, since technically the for loop that I'm using here has already defined that I'm using this list, I don't need to redefine the list within the function. Basically, within the loop, it already knows that X is going to be that particular index item. So I can just hit print X, and there we go. Red, yellow, blue. Cool. Okay, red, yellow, blue. So that's what's kind of going on there. So in that case, so remember when I define which list or whatever data set that I'm using for this for loop, I don't need to recall out the specific item. I can just use X because it's automatically going to call that specific index item, that particular list that I defined in the for loop. So that's the deal there. Okay. Now, let's do this. We're going to use an if statement. But we're going to use it in the loop. So we're going to print out the loop. We're going to print out this list again. Except we don't need to redefine that as blue. It's already blue. Okay, so we'll do, first we'll create an if statement. If, okay, if x equals, I want to change blue to green again, x equals blue, semicolon, we're going to make x equal green. I'm going to change it back to green. So what this should do, if I did this correctly, is that it's going to run through each index, check to see if the item is blue. If it is blue, change it to green. If not, it'll just print the item. Okay? And just keep doing that for all the different items in the list. For every iteration, every run through the for loop. Save it. Invalid syntax error. If x equals blue. Oh, that's why. If I'm asking if it's an equal, I'm not assigning. So again, remember when we talked about operators, that the actual operator, the test of something is equal to something, is two equal signs. So equal. So this means I'm trying to assign blue to x, which that's not a question. I'm asking, are they the same thing? Then I need to put two equal signs. These are part of our logical operators, which I don't think we've actually done yet. Okay, because last time we did the arithmetic operators and the assignment operators. So a logical operator would be equal equals. So I could make it like, well, let's just keep it simple. Equals equals means actually, does it x equal blue? Okay, because what happens when you do an if statement like this, so I'm saying, if this thing is true, then do this. So there's got to be some sort of logical statement. So in this case, again, one equal sign does not mean equal, it means assign. Two equal signs mean equal. So if x equals blue, then assign green to x. So let's save, run, let's see if it works. Yes, this looks like it worked. So again, first we printed out the item yellow. Then again, it was red, yellow, green because we changed it to green. I apologize for the sounds of Brooklyn. But anyway, so again, so we printed out, so going down through all the assignments that we did, we printed out yellow, then we changed that third item to green and printed out the whole list. Then we had that for loop that ran through each item in the list and printed it, red, yellow, blue. And then we had it again, but again we had that if statement that checked which one was blue and changed that blue to green, printing out red, yellow, green the second time. So you can see that right over here, red, yellow, green. So cool, we completed our assignment there. Now what if we wanted to know what the length of the list is? Okay, we can use the function or the method len. So I'm going to print len and print the name of my list, primary colors. Oh, wait. Yep, that's right. Boop. Okay, cool. That's literally it. So it should tell me the length of this, string, or I mean the length of this list. So okay, save it. And if we go all the way to the bottom, right here to the bottom, lift this up a little bit. Okay, but you'll see right there at the bottom it says red, yellow, green, we did before, and then 3 at the bottom. Because there's 3 items in the list. So it tells us the size of the list. Okay. Perfect. Lift up this a little bit. Make it a little bit easier to see. Okay. So far we're working through a list, and again, all len does is tell you the length of the list. So why would you need to know that? And again, most of these functions, they come up in different situations where you may need this information. Okay? You may need to get that 3 number, so you may need to have a list and then assign another variable, an integer variable, the length of the list. So I might need to assign that 3 to something that might be useful. But the point is now you can do it. Now what if I want to add an item to the list? I'm just going to add an item to the end of the list. Then I can use the append feature or method. So what happens here is I'm going to say I want to add blue back to the list. But I don't want to get rid of green, so I'm going to make it 4 items. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, take primary colors, okay, dot append, so primary colors is the list, dot append meaning I'm going to want to do something, call some sort of function of primary colors, dot append, and I'm going to want to append blue. Now just to make sure that it worked right, we're going to print the list. Print primary colors. Okay, so let's run our code. And red, yellow, blue, blue. But we forgot that we had already changed it to blue before. So I'm going to make this green going forward. We forgot we had already changed green back into blue. Or actually, no, let's see here. No, we hadn't. We never actually did change the original list. Technically, we had a blue over here. We changed X to green, but it only changed X to green within that roll of the loop. So when I assigned green to X, just kind of explain why it said blue, blue here. X to green, the X isn't the actual list. It's just kind of within the loop. It houses the value of that item in the list. So it allowed me to print the list and change that value in the list and print it as red, yellow, green, but the list was still red, yellow, blue. That's why I still printed out, when I appended blue, it just added another blue. Red, yellow, blue, blue. Which brings us to another really important point. A list can actually have duplicates. Okay, some of these other data collections are not going to allow you to have duplicates. So here I have 2 duplicates. I have blue and I have blue as item 3 and 4, technically, which is actually items 2 and 3, or index 2 and 3. Okay, so keep that in mind. So this is why it's important to, this is why I think it's fun to do it this way, because by seeing my mistakes and seeing kind of what I'm not expecting to happen, we are learning things about how Python works. Okay, so next we're going to insert an item to the list, meaning we're not going to necessarily put it at the end of the list. We're going to put it somewhere not in the end. So we might make it the 3rd item. So we'll make it item number 2, or index 2, and then it'll push everything forward 1. So let's see here. So once again, I'll do primary colors. Okay, because this is a function built into the list object. Okay, so primary colors dot insert, and I'm going to want to insert it into the 3rd spot, which would be index 2. That's the 3rd item. I'm going to want to interject orange. That means the first I'm putting in the number, like where do I want to put it within the list, and what is it that I want to put there. Now, just to make sure we did it right, let's print the list again. So I'm going to print primary colors. Okay, save, run module. Okay, and see here, we had our red, yellow, blue, blue. Okay, again, I changed it to green this time because I had changed the code earlier. Red, yellow, orange, blue, green. Cool. Okay, so I added orange into that 3rd spot because I specified it as index 2, which is technically item number 3. Okay, now I'm going to remove an item from the list. So with this case, I'm going to remove it based on the contents of the item list. Okay, so it's not based on the index number, but based on the item list. So if I can go to primary colors, that's my list, dot remove, because I want to remove something from that list, and I want to remove green. So we're going to remove green from the list, and then again we're going to print list to make sure that I did this right. Primary colors. So when it prints the list, it should no longer have green. Okay, and we can see that here was our previous version where it had all 5 colors, and look, green's no longer there. Okay, so cool, we did it. It removed green. So that's how the remove function works if you want to remove something from the list. Only a few more to go. Now pop also allows you to remove something from the list. I can either just do pop, which will automatically knock the last item from the list, or I can specify an index number and specifically remove that particular item. So if I do primary colors dot pop, and I want to remove, let's say I want to remove orange, which is the third item, which would be index number 2. So I'm going to pop 2 out of the list. Just to make sure that this works the way I expected it to work, once again, we're going to print primary colors. We should then no longer have orange. Okay, it's going to work. See, knocked out the third item on the list, which was orange, and orange is no longer there. So it works. Don't you love it when you work things? Cool. Now, let's delete the list, which means that the list just should no longer exist. So if I just type in del for delete, and I delete primary colors, okay, and then I go to print primary colors, I should actually probably get an error because the variable shouldn't really exist anymore. Let's see what happens. And that's what happened. Primary colors isn't defined. It doesn't exist because I deleted it. So when you use the delete function, delete command, it's going to get rid of it completely. It just doesn't exist as if it was never defined in the first place. So if you're just looking to get rid of all the items, but you still want primary colors to exist as something I can print, then that's maybe not the way you want to go. And that's where our next assignment comes in, where I want to clear the list. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the delete here, because I want the list to exist. And instead, I'm going to clear it. So we're going to do primary colors dot clear the whole list, and then we're going to print the list. It should have nothing inside of it. Python shell, run module. Let's see here. Okay, and see right here at the bottom, it just printed an empty list. It has a bracket, but there's nothing inside of it because we cleared the list. There's nothing left. Okay, so it worked. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of the cleared list because I want the list to be there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of the list. Okay, and the reason we want to do this is because if I were to do something like primary colors copy equals primary colors, that doesn't work. It doesn't create a separate list. It creates a variable that refers to the list. So if I change primary colors, it's automatically going to be reflected in primary colors copy. Basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a variable that refers to another variable, which I'm sure can be useful in different ways. But what I want to do here is primary colors copy. What we're going to do is we're going to try to create a copy of the list by saying primary colors copy equals primary colors, actually. I think all we have to do, and we'll double check, because I think I just have to use the function for primary colors dot copy. And then here I can put in my new variable, primary colors copy. That's going to be, it creates that copy in that variable. And just to double check to see if I did that right, we'll say print primary colors copy. So let's see if I'm correct. Hopefully I don't have to refer. No. Okay. Well, before I check to see what I'm doing wrong, let me try this one more way. I think the way I was doing it first was probably the right way. So primary colors copy, I'm declaring the variable, and I'm assigning to it the result of primary colors dot copy. Okay, so let's see there. So I'm running the function, and then the result of that, which is just a copy, is going to be stored in copy. So let's see if that works. Okay. And it printed the copy, and the copy looks fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, just to make sure that they're two separate copies, that they're not referencing each other, is that I'm going to edit copies. So we're going to change the original. Change, so we're going to say primary colors dot pop. Just get rid of the last item. Okay, then we're going to print primary colors, and then print primary colors copy. So we can see the difference between the two. Okay, so let's run the code, see how it goes. Okay, so these last two items, again, we popped it out of primary colors, which printed out first. We popped, so we saw how the blue, the last item, got removed, and see the two lists are independent, or two unique lists, not one list that refers to the other list. Now, if I had changed this and did that sort of the way I told you not to do it in the first place, if I did this, took that out and just said primary colors copy equals primary colors, let's see how that changes things. And see, one references the other. So now that when I edited one, it made them both pop out with just red and yellow. So this is why you have to do it that way. So for our last assignment, okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy the list, except we're going to use a different way of doing it. We're going to use the list function. So it should work the same way. So I'm going to copy this code over here. Actually, I want to cut it. Again, sorry for all the sirens. I do live in Brooklyn, so it's impossible to escape the cars. Okay, so primary colors copy equals primary colors. So what we're going to do here is this I'm actually going to refer. I can't remember the exact syntax for this one. So let's see here. Let's go right down, list constructor. So first we want to make the copy. This list equals this list. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay. So essentially what you'd be doing is just this. List primary colors. So basically what this does, it just says, okay, primary colors copy, the variable, is going to be assigned to the value list primary colors, which means this is going to create a list of whatever's inside the parentheses and return that. And then that'll be put in primary colors copy. Okay, so in that case, if I do that, okay, we should still end up with two different versions at the bottom. So let's see if this is correct. Yep, and that works again because we popped out, or after we copied it, we popped out the first list and then printed the copy separately. Okay, so that's pretty much what you can do with lists. And again, you can, as you try to come up with different situations and different solutions that you're trying to create using code, you'll find ways in which you want to use lists, but now you can kind of see many of the different functions and tools you have when using lists and how to work with lists and whatnot. Hopefully you guys found this useful and informative. Again, if you guys like this, head over to donate.alexmerced.com to help support my efforts. Again, the more support I get, the more time I can really kind of just sit down, learn as much as possible, and bring it to you guys so that way you guys can understand it too. Have a great day and enjoy. Thank you.